Hello, and warm welcome to another edition of The Chamber right here on City TV. We're still in the series of speaking to former members of parliament because the House is on recess. We'll take a break here. When I come back, I'll introduce my guests and we'll delve into the issues. Stay with us. Hello, welcome back from the break. My guest in this edition is the former member of parliament for Keta in the Volta region, the Honorable Richard Mawuli Quashigah. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
It's been almost more than a year since you left Parliament on the 6th of January 2021. What have you been up to?
Well, nothing really, just taking a long rest, and then doing some reflections to see how God is going to lead and direct me once again in my journey of life.
Let's go back to where it all started from. Where were you born? Who were your parents? What did they do? Schools did you attend? Start your early life.
Yeah, thank you very much. I was born in Qatar.
Okay.
In the Volta region.
Where in Qatar? The main Qatar or?
Qatar, yes, Qatar itself, Qatar proper. By the St. Michael Co-Cathedral Church. Okay. And in fact, I even served as a mass boy when I was growing up.
Wow.
At the Catholic Church. And then from there, I was taken to Takrady.
Okay.
Secondary precisely, secondary. I lived there briefly, and then subsequently was posted to my grandma, my maternal grandma, in Qatar.
Okay.
And at the age of about 6, I moved to Osu to live with an uncle of mine, my father's elder brother. So whilst with them, I attended the New Era Preparatory School.
Okay.
From New Era, my uncle moved to Dansoman. I mean, those days, a champion was selling these estates, so he bought one. So we moved to Dansoman. So I left New Era Preparatory School to Datus Preparatory School, Dansoman.
Hey, Datus, that's
yeah.
That's a high-end school.
At the time.
Yeah, still less.
So at Datus, yeah, I did my 1 to 6 in Datus. And then from there, I proceeded to GSTS Takrady.
Oh, so you wrote the common entrance?
I wrote a common entrance in Datus. And then from there proceeded to GSTS Takrady.
Oh, you're a giant?
I'm a giant, yeah.
Nice.
Actively so. And I did my 1 to 5 at GSTS. Naturally, I wasn't a science student. And at the time I was there, it became a pure science school. So I had casualties with chemistry.
So 1 to 5 science?
Science, yes.
Wow.
1 to 5 science. And my ADMAS was quite challenging. Yes. So of course I was unable to progress.
To the set form.
Yeah. I came back to Accra to join my father who had retired from the Ghana Navy.
Oh, okay. Father was a naval officer?
Yeah. My dad was.
That explains why you were in secondary.
Yeah, yes, that's true.
That's at the naval command there.
Yeah. And so I came to Accra and went to Anseko briefly, a couple of months.
To your sixth form?
No. My grades were not the best to have taken me to sixth form because of the science background.
Wow, so you had to come and rewrite the O-levels?
So I had to come and rewrite, but I did not rewrite in Anseko. I went for the classes, took literature, which was new to me, took government, which was new to me, and I did all that in less than a year. Came to Accra and registered at Emmanuel Institute, Kimbu, and wrote those papers in 1989, and then spent 10 months to study for the A-levels in those same subjects.
Wow.
And I got a grade that should have taken me to the university, but I was put on the waiting list.
Okay.
So I was advised.
Which university?
University of Ghana.
Okay.
So I was advised that since I wanted to pursue English, I could, whilst waiting, I could go to GIJ. So I went to GIJ, and I thought I loved it there. So I went through the course at GIJ. Whilst at GIJ, I became the local NUCS president, and then contested for the international relations officer.
Then the Greater NUCS.
Yeah, we were 3 contestants, one from Tech, one from Legon.
Do you remember their names?
I don't remember their names. But because I had GNUPS giving
The professional students.
the special professional students and GNUPS, that's polytechnics, the polytechnics.
Yeah.
They gave me massive support.
So you won?
So I won.
Wow.
And I became the
IRS.
Secretary for International Relations of NUCS.
Who was their president?
At the time, Professor George Odro. He was, I think he's retired from Kevas. Yeah. Before him was Polansa.
Yeah. He was at, is it Maritime or Gapoha?
Yeah, Gapoha.
Gapoha.
He contested and lost.
Yeah. Oh, I see.
Yes, and those days my colleagues or contemporaries on the NUCS CC were Egbert Fable.
He was Chief Vanda.
Chief Vanda, yes. YB.
Abuabian Samoa.
Yeah, Abuabian Samoa.
They were from Legon.
Yes. Elvis Efriankra, he subsequently became Legon SRC president, and subsequently he became the coordinating secretary of NUCS. Yeah.
I see. So you enjoyed it at GIJ. Did Legon ever call you to come?
No, I didn't even pursue it.
You didn't even pursue it?
Yeah, okay. I didn't pursue it. So because from there, I was in a hurry to start reporting. At the time, it was only GBC.
Yes.
So when your name is heard,
so this was a diploma at GIJ.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So if your name is heard on Radio Ghana, it vibrates everywhere in Togo and Cote d'Ivoire and etc. Yeah. You know, so when I joined GBC, I subsequently had the opportunity, by God's grace, to go and do a diploma program in Germany at Brandenburg.
Okay.
That was the eastern part of Germany. Yeah.
At that time, there was the unification had not happened? Or?
It had just happened. Yeah.
Okay, so the early days.
Yeah, early days. So, International Institute of Berlin, Brandenburg. Then, from there, I came back to GBC, doing my normal journalistic activities. And well, before all this, I was virtually involved in politics.
How? I mean, of course, you know of the NUCS, so after NUCS...
Oh, yes. Even before that. You know, my 6th form national service, I did it in Upper West Region too.
Hey.
And at the time they had formed, there was a move to move from military rule to constitutional rule.
Yeah, the transition.
Yeah, the transition. And so the vehicle on which the late former president would ride on became an issue people were discussing and all that. So the Eagle Club was formed. Somebody discovered me in Teshin to be quite vociferous. So they asked what I was doing. I said I was a national service person in the Upper West region. So they asked if I could form branches of the club in the Upper West region. And I said yes, and I did.
Wow.
At the time, Honorable Suleimani, Hamidu Suleimani, was the undersecretary. And I worked to Michael Susudis, the late Farouk Brahima, Dr. George Kublenu, you know, and Nana Doikens. In fact, I remember we were supposed to mobilize people for the leaders of the Eagle Club to meet in the Upper West region. And I was liaising with the Undersecretary, Honorable Amidu. Then, Mr. Larry Ajete arrived in the Upper West region and told Honorable Martin Amidu that these guys are imposters.
Oh, how?
The vehicle that the former president will ride on is Akata Mansuda umbrella party. But there was a lot of confusion because whilst there I prompted him and impressed on him to call Sudis. So when he spoke with Susudi said, look, Richie is our man. And whatever they are doing there is genuine.
Sanctioned.
Yeah. So he was like, I don't know who to believe. Within days, it was announced on radio that all those with Nanado case in the Upper West region has been rounded up.
Hey.
It was, the instruction was given by the then Defense Minister, Alhaji Idris.
Mahama.
So I just had to run. I disappeared from Wa, went to hide with friends in Tumu, and at that time, the then NBC headquarters was actually originally owned by, originally rented by the Eagle Club. And the officers, they were rounded up. And they were given a good beating of their life.
Wow. You escaped that?
No, yeah, I was in the Upper West region. So that was gradually
And this was even before GIJ?
This was before GIJ, yeah.
Hey.
This was before GIJ. So finally, when I came down, the likes of the late Daniel Furiata, who were some of the leaders of the Iga Club, I met with them, met with Sudis and all that, and then they were working out some other strategy. So I realized that no, it looks like the Iga Club was not going to work because the old man himself
was going to NDC.
Was with the Akatamas. So I quickly recoiled, Then I became a member of the Nooks Secretariat. And I was living in a Nooks house in Roman Ridge. At the time, Honorable Sylvester Mensah had become the
MP.
No, he had become the General Secretary of the Greater Accra branch of the NDC.
Yeah.
So he invited me to be the press secretary.
Oh. Of the Greater Accra.
Of the Greater Accra.
While you were still in school? Or this
No. I had finished, I had left GIJ and was with the Nooks Secretariat.
Okay, this was before GBC?
Yes, before GBC. And in fact, at that time, I was going to GBC from time to time, like an intern, kind of, yeah. So after all that, I found myself in the NDC from the Greater Accra region, where I became the regional propaganda secretary. And then subsequently, you know what it was, national propaganda secretary. But with my education, which you started with, I proceeded also to Cardiff.
Okay.
Thanks to the likes of Honorable Tutubi Kwachi and Honorable Dan Abudapi.
Yeah.
They actually largely financed my going to Cardiff to pursue a master's program.
Wow, Cardiff is the best, virtually. Cardiff, Columbia, the two best institutions for journalism, media, communications in the world.
Exactly.
Wow. Yeah. It's impressive.
So I was in Cardiff, and then that was just the dying moments of the NDC. The NDC had lost elections. So quickly, the two of them arranged some financial support for me to jet out and do that course. I came back, President Kufuor was president. And I had intentions of going back because I came only to survey how things were.
Yeah, and then plan the next move.
Exactly. But when I came, a good friend of mine, whom I work with now currently, asked that we do some work, some media work. So at the time, President Kufuor declared the golden age of business.
Yeah.
And we approached the then Eastern Regional Minister, with the proposal that we could build a documentary on the potentials of the Eastern region so that they can market it. At the time, I was told that there was some American entity that was willing to support the government, as far as investment is concerned.
Who was the regional minister at the time? Is it Berma?
Yeah, Berma.
Yeah.
At the time, Joe Gatti, Honorable Joe Gatti, was his assistant. So when we finally won the bid, he was like, "You guys are smart guys." So we built a documentary, and we were informed later. I was informed later by Joe Gatti that it even won an award.
Wow.
US, yeah, for it was
Yes, the Eastern region is a very beautiful region. So
it was identified as the best.
if you have the time, opportunity to do something like that.
Yeah. So on and on we continued, and the NDC was the vehicle that I finally joined. But when I came back also, I decided to do other things apart from reporting.
So when you came back from Cardiff, you still were at GBC?
Yeah,
you still went back to GBC?
I went back to GBC.
What did you do at GBC? In terms of
GBC,
where you were a DJ or political correspondent?
I was a political correspondent.
So you were on Radio Ghana?
Yeah, and at some point in time, I was a parliamentary correspondent.
Oh, wow.
Where I was.
Which parliament did you report from? So the second or third parliament? Who was the speaker?
Oh, the speaker was, in fact, when Justice Adam was there, 1996.
Chicks, yeah.
I used to go there briefly. Then subsequently, then I will be talking about Alajete tenure.
Yes.
I was producing inside Parliament. So it gave me the opportunity to witness
to really know inside Parliament.
And I became friends with
a lot
of the MPs.
Yeah.
And again, I took over the News and Current Affairs unit.
As the head?
Acting head.
Oh.
When Cyril stepped out a bit.
Oh, Cyril Akolache.
Yeah.
Wow, the experienced Cyril Akolache.
The versatile.
Yes. Public concern, I remember him.
Yeah, public concern.
From the days of public concern.
So, we continued. I continued like that, in that direction. And became largely a spokesperson for the NDC.
Yes. But why did the NDC change the name of propaganda secretary?
I changed it.
You changed the name from propaganda secretary?
I moved the motion for its change because whatever you say, people will describe you as a liar.
Yes.
Which.
But how in the world did you name such a position, propaganda secretary? National propaganda secretary.
Well, I came to meet it. And even before I was elected, Fifi had wanted to get it changed.
Yeah.
But he was unsuccessful. So when I was leaving, I made a strong case for it. I originally suggested propaganda communication secretary. But along the line, Honorable Kendrasa, who was then in charge of the committee that was dealing with these matters, made it communications
officer. So you were the first national communications officer?
No.
It took effect after your tenure?
After.
So we can say
it took effect, after I left.
So we can say you were the last propaganda secretary? I was
the last
propaganda secretary for the NDC. Okay. On that note, we'll take a break. When I come back, I'll be interested in finding out also his journey in the sphere of academia, and then we enter into Parliament proper, how the transformation from parliamentary correspondent to member of Parliament. I'm also a parliamentary correspondent, but we'll take a break here. You're welcome back from the break. My guest is still the Honorable Richard Mawuli, Quashigah, former MP for Keta. We departed for the break on the note where he just finished serving his term as National Propaganda Secretary of the NDC, and has managed to get the name changed to National Communications Officer of the NDC. But apart from the politics, you were also, for so many years, a lecturer at the then IPS. How did you become a lecturer?
Thank you very much. I was not just lecturing or teaching at IPS. I started off when I got back from the UK after my master's program with Mr. Honorable Kujuanke's school.
Oh,
it used to be AIJC.
AUCC.
Yeah, now AUCC. And I was
It
there.
used to be AIJC.
AIJC, yes.
Okay.
And so I was there teaching mainly political reporting and integrated marketing communications.
Okay.
Whilst with his school, he also got me to be part of his consultancy.
Oh, great.
As a senior facilitator. And also, he got me to also be a guest lecturer at the Institute of Public Relations.
Yeah, IPR.
Concurrently. Yeah. So, whilst there, I also a young man looking for money.
Of course.
So I got myself engaged also on part-time basis at Zenith University College.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Then I came to UPSA, IPS at the time. Well, they gave me a try. I thought that, well, I had what it takes to deliver. So I started with their diploma programs.
Okay.
Build up.
Teaching communication, because we know it's a pure marketing and accounting and business commerce.
I had done a number of certificate courses after GID in marketing, employee relations.
So what did you teach at IPS?
I taught integrated marketing communications.
Okay.
Communications management and some other peripheral subjects. But I was also very much involved in the short courses.
Okay.
Not just at IPS, but again with Honorable Kujuanke's
AIJC.
Not just the school, his consultancy. Because I was facilitated alongside with Professor Bob Hinson.
Okay.
The Imani Vice President.
Kofi Bento.
Kofi Bento. Yes. We handled senior managers of GPHA. Even my very revered senior Lance was part of.
Oh, he was your student.
So I told him before, when I realized he was also going to be part of the people that will be listening to me, I called him and said, senior, this one, I should soak under your feet. Not the reverse. So yeah, Export Promotion Council and a number of institutions.
Interesting. Yeah.
Then,
okay.
Yeah. Then later on, I started teaching on the degree program at UPSA as well, and even rose to become the dean of the Faculty of Communications Studies. In fact, I was very instrumental in setting it up.
Okay. There's this story that Professor Alabi, who we all know has been through and through NDC, was MP from '96 in Crowell, and was also, he's credited with the transformation of UPSA. Looked at the core of the NDC young people at the time and got all of you to become lecturers. So your name is mentioned, a free Accra is mentioned, a number of people.
Wow.
And got all of you to be there, capacity building for the future.
That's a very, very inappropriate position of view. Yeah, Professor Alabi was there. Like I mentioned, when I got back from the UK, I was already teaching elsewhere. Zenith University College.
AIJC.
And it was AIJC that Honorable Kujuanke also gave me the opportunity to go back to Germany. I was there earlier to do another course in 2005 at the International Institute of Journalism, Berlin, not
Brandenburg.
Yeah,
this is Berlin.
Berlin, and it was trainer of trainers for university teachers.
Oh, okay.
And I met our good friend, who's pastor, may so rest in peace, there, Joy FM.
Komla.
Elvis.
Oh, Elvis, yeah, Elvis Quashigah. Oh, too bad.
At the time, he was also on some other program.
Training. Wow.
It was an event scholarship. You know. So, to the extent that even when I got back, when I came back to Ghana, and that school wanted to organize some short courses for West African journalists.
They invited you.
In fact, here in Ghana, the GJA premises, I was one of the lecturers.
Wow.
And I took a number of journalists, both Ghanaians and other African nationals, through covering the elections and political PR. So
let's look at.
It's not as if Professor Joshua Labi
just gathered a group of young NDC people.
No.
And then,
it was just
coincidental.
That,
all of
I
you.
was there, Elvis was there, Honorable Sylvester Mensah was also there. Yeah.
Okay, I see. Interesting. All right. Let's look, let's now turn our attention to your journey, your pathway to Parliament. Of course, I mean, all parliamentary correspondents have a certain close, almost very personable experience with Parliament, because you are every day in the press gallery, reporting, having coffee with the MPs in the coffee shop, interviewing them, I mean, having behind the scenes conversation with them, trying to coax them even into interviews and all of that. But not everybody gets to take it a step further. So how did that happen?
Yeah, the intention was originally not to end up as a member of Parliament. But at the time I decided to contest for the position of National Propaganda Secretary, being the Christian that I am, I decided to seek the face of God. And the Archbishop, the revered Papa, Duncan Williams, happens to be my spiritual father, to put that, because I was a member of that church at the time.
Okay, at the time a member of Action.
Yeah, I was. And so I went to discuss the matter with him, that this is the proposition. And he's found the name a bit weird, Propaganda Secretary, what it meant. And even his wife, Lady Rosa, also thought that no, that name is not too good, it's so, it's archaic, you know, it's been bastardized. So going by that title, it's not pleasing enough. But when the Archbishop prayed with me, laid his sword on me, and said, "Oh, Richard, I feel it in my spirit.
My God.
That God says you should proceed." But then he called the then prophet in the church, Prophet Gideon Danso, and asked him to also to pray with him. That is what I have decided on. I want to do. So he should also pray with me. And I must say that when he called me to his office and prayed with me, in fact, he asked that I come with my wife. And it was there that he said, he can see me driving on the Accra Flower Road. And he asked whether I was from Keta. And I said, yes, and I'm from Keta. And he said he could see MP for that area written by my name. And that God says he's sending me there for a reason and a purpose and for a time.
For a season, yeah.
For a season. In fact,
at the time, it wasn't part of your plan.
It was.
Especially seeing all the wahala the MPs go through.
To be honest with you, in my head, I was like, oh, they said pray for me to go and win propaganda secretary.
You are talking about MP.
You are talking about MP. MP, the MP, money to go and contest. I don't have it. More so, Keta, I was not really known. You know, apart from funerals and etc., the political architecture does not recognize me there. You know? So, well, he said his own. But then from there, I proceeded to see Sam George was part of my team.
Sam George?
Oh, yeah.
This is very Sam George.
Oh, Sam George.
MP for Ningo proper.
Of course. In fact, I was the first, when I became, that was later. When I was working with Hannah Tete, I was handling scheduling of spokespersons for the NDC and placing the adverts and building the documents and etc. So I was the first to have given him the opportunity to appear on TV, you know.
Wow.
Yeah. So he really worked for me. So he suggested to me that I should go and see Bishop Ajinasari, who was his shepherd.
Yeah.
So we went there. He also prayed with me, and also concluded that I was going to win. At the time, I remember Kuku Sechiado called me and said, "Richard, you are contesting with Alote Jacobs and others. But you see, those backing Alote, they are money bags. And nobody is backing you.
How are you going to win?
How are you going to win?" And I told him, well, President Mills says he was backing me. But I said, yes, but I don't think you'll win. But when we went into the contest, Alote got 420, 1,200 and something.
Wow.
Yeah.
So who were your competitors? Apart from Alote, who else?
The late Jijote and the late, they used to call him Kabila. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
All right. So after propaganda, this is propaganda secretary. You finished with that. How did you become MP for Keta?
Yes.
So after the prophecy.
After the prophecy, in fact, I just put it on the back burner. Then the late Dan Markin, a very, very good friend of mine, also called me and told me that, Richard, you know, he was a pastor as well.
Yeah.
And he also said, Richard, God is calling you to go and represent the people in Qatar. And I told him, would you give me the money? You know, but strangely, when we declared we opened nominations at the party headquarters, I was there. We had a press conference to that effect. And Chris Akume, who was a serial contestant, you know, engaged the media that he was going to contest again in Qatar. So I just jokingly joined him and I told the media that I also will be contesting. If I remember General telling the general, hey, Richard is joking, he's not known in Qatar. You know, so after saying that, people started calling me.
Did you mean it or you were joking?
I just said it. And then people started calling me. They would support me with money. Some people I didn't know.
And, you know? And Chris Akume at the time was very vociferous.
Was vociferous. He had contested with Honorable Dana Bodakwi a number of times. In fact, they had contested all through and lost. Wow. You know, so I jumped in, and the then MP, Richard Lassie, when he heard it, he reached out to me and said, and asked if I was serious about it. I was like, well, if the people say I should go, who am I?
No.
And I went to Qatar, and then I announced, and I got people
to support you.
Yeah, supporting me, backing me. Wow. And you won't believe it. I will only pray when I come back to Accra. People will give me money. I never contested the Qatar seat with my own pocket money because I didn't even have it.
At the time you were a lecturer. How much as a lecturer?
Yes, I was lecturing here, doing part-time in other schools, and even with the small consultancy of my own and all that.
But how much?
It's not money
for politics.
No.
You need big money.
No. You know, of course, my friend, the lies of Dan Markin.
The Dan Markin you talk about, is he related to the
Afenyo Sanka?
Oh, that's Afenyo Sanka. I see.
He was Afenyo Sanka. You know. So I got support. We were 7 initially. 2 dropped out along the line. It was left with those who remained in the race were Chris, Akume, Kwame Jijoli Gakpe, because they were the people on the ground before I went there, the local boys. The homeboys.
Hey, your successor started Gakpe started contesting at the time.
Yes.
Wow.
And Rocky Amuji. We were 5. Who finally contested?
This was in 2012. Okay. And then you won.
I won.
First attempt. Wow.
So I said, no, you don't discount prophecies. It's not all prophecies you discount. You know. And I won. Just like that. Even before then, people came to me. They would give me some talisman. All I need to do is to put it in my car. They would give me this, they would give me that, they would do this for me. I told them, no.
Believe in yourself.
What I have
is greater.
Yes, I'm not, if I mention this, some of them will not believe it. I said, what I have is a stronger force. If I add yours to it, it will all be negated.
Okay, so now, 2013 January, you are in Parliament. You look at the press gallery where you used to sit before, and now you are in the chamber. How is it feeling like?
Yeah, the feeling was good actually. The feeling was good.
Especially at the time when your party was also in power.
My party was in power, yeah. The first time. Yeah, and my party was in power. It was good. I made a few noises here and there, you know, and.
But the 8 years, I mean, it's not everybody who decides to go to Parliament and then decides to leave Parliament on his own.
Principle, isn't it?
Yeah, so because you said you were going to serve 2 terms.
2 terms, yes.
There are people who have said they will serve 2 terms, but when it gets there, they say, oh,
well,
there's still a lot to be done. So
this is me, and that is them. And again, mine was premised on
the prophecy.
What
God
men of God had said, which I believed in finally. And I went there, the terrain was rough. Terrain was rough, yeah. Certain things that are said to happen in politics are real.
Yeah.
You know. And if you are a Christian and you are not really firm, you go wayward.
True.
You know, and so I remain true to my calling.
True. All right, let's look back at your tenure in Keta. What's some of the things that you are proud of that over the 8 years you were able to do? What's your most biggest legacy for you in Keta?
Biggest legacy? I would rather want to talk about those things that I was unable to do.
Why?
Because they were the big issues. For instance, the Anyako water
project, yes. Hey, so many questions you asked about. I remember.
So many
questions, yes.
Government on.
Anyako water.
Yes.
Still.
I took my government on.
I remember.
And I incurred the wrath of senior members of the party.
I remember there was a time we even flared up on the floor of Parliament. Got angry, visibly.
I got visibly angry.
Viewers visibly angry.
Because I had gone to the president.
Yeah.
I talked about the Anyako water. I'd met all the captains who were supposed to make it happen. I got promises upon promises. It never happened. You know. And then again, the Qatar port was another bothersome project that never came into being. You know, the NDC made great strides.
Yeah.
Diamond Cement had agreed to build for us a jetty as a starting point. Then we progressed from there. The plan was there. Everything was in place. Then they will progress from there to build a rail line that can convey their products to the landlocked countries. Now, all these things were in place. The late Jifa Tivo worked very hard at it. Fifi continued, you know, and GPHA signed a conditional agreement with Diamond Cement. It was in that process that the NDC lost elections. You know, and the expectation was that the new government will continue. Polans at the time was also with GPHA. He became Director General. And I was excited because this was somebody I knew.
Yeah.
And I believed, and I was very confident he was going to push it. But rather, there was a reversal of the clock. You know, and Diamond Cement was asked to start all over again.
Wow.
So even the
But if you go there, you see some sort of breakwater that has been constructed, and you see catapult.
Which breakwater? The feasibility studies that were all done was done by Diamond Cement.
I see.
They spent huge sums of money
to do that. Yeah.
I met with Isiama, the Minister for Transport. He was very assuring. I met him with those from Diamond Cement. At the end of the day, different stories. It never happened. So those are two major issues that make me feel I never achieved
what you wanted to achieve.
anything.
We'll take a break here. When I come back, we'll look at the final matters, the final part of the program. Stay with us. You're welcome back from the break. This is still the chamber. So we're talking about your legacy in Keta. One other matter that has become quite topical in your absence from Parliament has been the tidal waves issue. Of course, it's affected the whole of the southern water belt. Flao and the rest were all affected, and Anyanui and all of that, and affected Keta as well.
Of course, yeah. Very sad indeed. When I saw the images, I was really worried and disturbed. I think that it was during that crisis that I called Quashigah and some others that, look, we are from that area. It's not possible that we could create a vehicle that could raise money, you know, as private citizens to address the issue and ameliorate the challenges of the people some way, somehow. And that's how come the Keta Tidal Wave Relief, the Water Tidal Wave Relief Fund was created, which Quashigah is the main man, the coxswain. You know. We also, together with Marco Afajinu, you know, mobilized some support materials and donated
To the affected people. The long-term thing is a defense war. It's a sea defense war.
Yeah, the sea
like
defense
it's
war.
been done in the other parts of the region.
That's true. And I think that during my tenure, there was challenges as well. The tidal wave, especially from Hovi, from Keji. Keji was quite okay. Through Hovi to Lekusu into Katu South.
Yeah.
And the NDC started some work. We made a lot of noise, and I was excited about it. They started some work. So the last time, Hovi was not affected.
Because of the work?
Yeah, there's some work that was done to Blekusu and etc. But that work was supposed to have been continued. And I asked questions on the floor of the House in relation to that. Honorable Atacha became the Minister
for Works.
And he kept giving assurances that when there's money, it will be done. ABC, nothing happened. At least if that was continued, it would have minimized the impact of the recent tidal waves.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let's look at your party now. From your constituency, your party to the NDC. The NDC, as we speak, is reorganizing itself for the 2024 election.
Very much so.
Everybody knows that, I mean, it's public knowledge that in the last election, you were in the camp of Professor Joshua Alabi. Will he contest Mahama in the run-up to 2024? Especially after serving as his campaign manager.
Professor Joshua Alabi even now still works with former President John Mahama.
The campaign is over.
The campaign is over, yes.
So
you would have heard that recently when President Mahama was invited to the birthday party of Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams and he was unable to go, he sent Professor Joshua Alabi.
Okay.
So that should tell you
that they still work.
Exactly. And wherever Professor Alabi is, you know, let me tell you this story, this quick one. I used to live in Teshin. Professor Alabi, when he was contesting to go to Parliament in 1996, I was with him. Same was Sylvester Mensah, Honorable Sly Mensah, who brought me into the Captamanso after my Eagle days. Yeah. And Ni Boy Sikan, the late, was MP for Lejekuku, Teshin, where I used to live. And whilst I was schooling at GIG, his residence was along that road. So, you know, anytime I get broke, I pass through his house.
You pass through whose house? Professor Alabi?
No. Ni Boy Sikan.
Okay.
You know. So the Peshi, they became people we refer to as the Peshi Big Boys. Peshi Big Boys, La.
Lejekuku,
Teshi, and Krowo Nungwa. So these three people became my friends.
The Peshi Big Boys.
The Peshi Big Boys, they became my friends. You know, and that is how come I carried it on with Professor Alabi. Same with Honorable Sylvester Mensah.
Okay, great. Yeah. So, and the both of them contested Mahama.
Yeah, they contested Mahama.
It means that your bond with Alabi stronger than Sylvester. Who brought him to the party?
See, along the line, Professor Alabi and I were still in UPSA.
But at a point, I think Sylvester also
he left. He left when he was appointed as CEO of National Health Insurance. You know, so the closer, you know, the stronger the bond.
Yeah.
You know, that's how come. Honorable Sly and I discussed. I told her, look, my brother, truth be told, I would think that join Professor Alabi so that
you can project the
Peshi agenda. Well, he declined. Then, well, it was an internal contest. And again, Professor Alabi and myself knew he was not going to win. But we thought that internal democracy, you know, must be...
By your performance show people, I think you came second, right?
Second, yeah. Yeah, so it was not to depose President Mahama. We knew President Mahama was going to win.
But see, a lot of, interesting battles are coming up. So for the national chairmanship, we are told Ofuzo Mbofo will face stiff challenge from General Mosquito. That's one interesting part of the equation. Then the flag bearership itself, all sorts of names are coming up. Dr. Dufour against Mahama, you know.
Yeah, Dr. Dufour is a very fine gentleman. Dr. Dufour is a good man, I must say. I have very good relations with him.
Okay.
But in this particular contest, I feel it in my bones that former President Mahama is going to win, not just an internal contest, but he's going to win the main
national election.
Yes.
MPP won't break the 8.
Well, they can tickle themselves and laugh. But I believe strongly that the happenings in our economy or the country is not one that lends its support to them.
People say President Mahama has led this country before. He'll be running on his own record. And that's the record that has been rejected by Ghanaians twice at the polls.
Well, if you ask me...
So there's the need, even EIU says you should bring a new person.
It didn't say so. Maybe your interpretation.
They said it will enhance the chances of the NDC if another candidate apart
so from if it says it will enhance. The NDC will win 2024, but if it presents another candidate apart from former President Mahama, it will enhance its chance. It doesn't mean that presenting President Mahama will be a loss for the NDC. No, that's not the interpretation. But I know that our political competitors, you know, are struggling very hard to create that impression. You know, but the reality is that Ghana is not getting any better. The promises that Nana Akufo-Addo made, none has been achieved. And unemployment is on the loose. You know, even sitting back, I would imagine that there are things that can be done that can actually reduce the unemployment situation. Yeah. But those things are not being done. You know, and it looks like the nation is in an autopilot situation. You know, it's just moving without any control. And I ask myself, is anybody in the coxswain? It doesn't appear so. And when you compare the records of former President Mahama and that of Nana Akufo-Addo, So far, you would say that former President Mahama is a saint.
Okay, all right. Let's, as a former journalist, we can't leave without asking you about the state of press freedom in the country. A recent RSF report, Reporters Sans Frontières, Reporters Without Borders, even though there was a new methodology used, Ghana dropped about 30 places on the rankings.
So disheartening. One would have expected that freedom of the press would have been taken a notch higher than Nana Akufo-Addo, who I could describe as, the apostle of press freedom and democracy. Unfortunately, under his watch, we are seeing things differently. Journalists openly have said that they feel threatened, speaking their minds and reporting the way they ought to. Recently, this journalist in the UK now, UTV, Vim Lady, she's also made some very disparaging comments about her safety as a journalist, and she does not believe she'll cover the next elections. Manasseh Azuri, we know it's all over. I mean, so it's worrying. It's worrying. And all these issues, together with a number of issues, makes President Akufo-Addo not appear the Democrat that we all expect him to be, or people believed him to be. It's most unfortunate. Press freedom is at its lowest ebb currently. Because apart from taking out the military era, the constitutional dispensation, we've never experienced a situation where journalists are said to have lost their lives because of their work. We've not come to that point where journalists claim they are afraid of doing their work, without looking over their shoulders. Manasseh Azuri even claimed that, look, President Mahama was someone he criticized and yet could dine with him at the same time. For him to point out the flaws in his approach or whatever the things that he said, and then give him his side of the story. That is what a democratic president is expected to do. And if Nana Akufo-Addo had taken all that a notch higher, I believe that the world would have been applauding him by this time.
Okay. Do you have any plans of getting back into active politics?
I am still in politics.
Don't contest any position?
I am still in politics. Yeah, I haven't given up.
Are you contesting anything?
No, not now. I'm not contesting for any position. But politics runs in my veins. And my association with the NDC goes way back. I remember even when I started with the Eagle Club, my father had to drive me out of the house for a couple of months because the entire Quashigah family was MPP because of my cousin Courage. And so they didn't understand why I was
a black sheep.
I was a black sheep, kind of. I was on top of the roof.
Quashigah became, a great minister.
Yeah, he became a great minister.
Yes.
And, he tried wooing me along the line when he became national organizer. Because at the time he was national organizer, he was also the chairman of our family union, and I was his secretary.
So he wanted to bring you to
Oh, yeah, he did all he could. Not just him, Dan Boche, the late Jake Ubechebi Lamte, they all did their best to get me into the... But, I was just fascinated about the man, Jerry Rawlings. His dashing personality and all that. And I had made very good friends in the NDC. My benefactors were Honorable Totobi Kwachi, Dana Bodakwi. They paid my school fees.
Big man.
And I understand that Honorable Totobi Kwachi, that is his nature. He helped a lot of young people, a lot of journalists, to study abroad and all that. And I had the Peshi Big Boys as my very good friends.
Wow.
So
which other option?
Which other option? So my cousins' influence didn't wash.
Failed into oblivion.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. Thank you very much, General Mawuli Quashigah. It's been my guest, former MP for Keta. My name is Tukmen Sopo. Keep watching CTTV for the very best in programming.